Tom Brady did not want Sam Darnold a part of the Raiders. Now, reports have come out that Raiders minority owner Tom Brady was not in favor of the team signing quarterback Sam Darnold in free agency. It was widely reported that Darnold was on the Raiders' radar earlier this offseason, but Brady disapproved of the move. There aren't many buying the notion that Brady didn't have a heavy hand in the Raiders' offseason decision at quarterback, and longtime league insider Mike Silver reported on the matter this week. According to Silver, it was Brady who killed any chances Sam Darnold had of playing in Las Vegas. Some believe that the Las Vegas Raiders would try to sign Darnold, but minority owner Tom Brady, a 7-time Super Bowl winning quarterback whose opinion held great sway, was not in favor of that approach, according to a source familiar with the franchise's internal discussions, Silver reported this week at The Athletic. Instead, the Raiders opted to trade for quarterback Geno Smith, and Darnold went on to sign a 3-year, $100.5 million deal with the Seahawks. Now, overall, I do believe that the Raiders made the right move, because I wasn't a really big fan of getting Sam Darnold because I knew how much we would have to pay him, and knowing that he had one great season, who knows if he was going to replicate that again. And I feel like the Raiders always kind of fall for that, and it just never pans out for this team. Now, I know that we did pay Geno Smith a hefty price, and we also had to trade a 3rd-round pick for him, but I felt a little bit more confident in Geno Smith than I did with Sam Darnold. And knowing the relationships that he does have with Pete Carroll and playing under Pete Carroll and succeeding under Pete Carroll, it just made a lot of sense. Now, initially, there was a lot of rumors and reports, and I even have some inside sources that were saying that the Raiders were all in on bringing Matt Stafford in. That was the guy that everybody wanted to bring in. That was going to be the future quarterback for this Raiders team, but Matt Stafford ended up backing out and going right back home to LA and signing a deal with them, with reports saying that he took less to stay with the Rams, going to show how much the Raiders, and I forgot who the other team were, interested in signing him. Now, this does go to show that Tom Brady does have a little bit of a hand in what goes on with the organization, especially at the quarterback position, which Mark Davis and company also stated that they would at least listen to what Tom Brady had to say. This dude is the GOAT, so why not listen to him? Now, the only big question I have at the quarterback position this year is the fact that we really didn't address getting a successor to Geno Smith, because, I was a big advocate in getting Shedeur Sanders, bringing him to Las Vegas, and knowing how far he fell in the draft. We could have definitely taken a chance on that, but hey, that's besides the point. At least the Raiders right now finally have somewhat of a solid starting quarterback in the league, somebody that at least can get a couple of wins under his belt. Now, speaking of Geno Smith and speaking of Pete Carroll was recently on the Get Got podcast, where he shared his decision on going out and trading for Geno Smith and what he looks forward to doing with him here in Las Vegas.
Talk to us about how important it was to have Geno.
He tried to get everybody about that deal. He tried to have the Oakland Seahawks.
The Oakland Seahawks, bro. Everywhere.
Geno, to me, is like getting Marshawn. To me, it's like that, because there's a connection of the impact that the guy can have on everybody else. Geno, the years we spent together, the years when he wasn't playing, were the most significant years to me, because he exemplified this mentality that I had never seen in anybody else. So I really would tell you that he thought every play he was going to be in. And somehow he held on to that kind of focus. That he didn't ever lose it. He didn't ever waver. Every play that the other guy was taking, it might be his last play, and he might be ready, and he needs to be ready to go. And he'd been through some pain and some hardship and stuff like that. But by the time we got him, he came with this mentality that, anyway. So when he finally got a chance, he did great. And a lot of people were surprised. Shoot, he was comeback player of the year, the first year that he started and all that after Russell left. And it was just, so to get him to come too was, oh man, it's just so significant, because he's awesome. He's awesome every day, first guy on, last guy off. It's just sizzling in practice, great throws every day. And he got the little skinny legs, I keep hitting him with, hey, did they arrest the guy? And he says, which guy? The guy that stole your calves? But anyway, but he's just done everything you could hope for.
Now, knowing the history that they do share, this is one of the main reasons why I say I'm a little bit hyped this season, even though I don't want to keep my expectations too high. Just knowing the relationship that they do have going back to Seattle, the fact that Geno Smith has played under and even succeeded under Pete Carroll before, and knowing Pete Carroll and his track history with what he's been able to do from organization to organization, I feel like the Raiders are looking to be one of those teams that could surprise the NFL. And I know I've talked about this countless of times, especially on this channel, ever since we got Geno Smith and got Pete Carroll. But you hear the confidence, you hear the praise that he has for Geno Smith. I believe Geno Smith is going to have one of his better years in the NFL. Now, the crazy thing is the fact that Geno Smith wasn't the only quarterback that Pete Carroll had in mind. He thought about bringing Russell Wilson over here to Las Vegas as well. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was one of the guys that wouldn't have mind Russell Wilson in the silver and black.
You and Russ good, coach?
Yeah, we're doing fine. Like I told you guys, I stay in contact with the guys.
Okay.
And as best I can. And so, Russ was one to call you. And so, I've heard a lot from him, and I stayed in contact with him throughout with the same thought, just trying to help him, just trying to help him too. Geno and I were talking during this last year too, and just trying to help and be there for him and continue to support him, because nobody knows those guys as well as I do, and so if I could be there for him or answer some questions or kick him in the butt or whatever, and really, there was a chance that, that with Russ coming up in free agency that, we needed a quarterback. So there was conversation, in that short amount of time there before we got Geno that, who knows, there could be a shot. So
reunited and it feels so good, huh? Y'all was about to be reunited, huh?
Yeah.
Now, with that said, going right into my next topic, the top 10 quarterbacks going into the 2025 season, according to Yahoo Sports, and they actually had your boy Geno Smith in the top 10. I know, crazy, right? To at least have a quarterback that's viewed a little bit higher than all the quarterbacks that we had these past couple of years, ever since Derek Carr, I would say that this is a good sign. Now, Yahoo Sports actually had Geno Smith ranked number 8, behind guys like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, and Dak Prescott. Surprisingly enough, Smith was ranked ahead of two guys in Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, which I know a lot of people could debate back and forth on that one. But all in all, they put Geno Smith in the floor riser tier. This tier is quarterbacks that are good, but just a hair off from the rest of the players ranked above them. These guys have been good at creating competitive teams in adverse situations. Though there is still a bit missing to get them into the upper echelon tier, in the right circumstances, these quarterbacks could probably lead their team on a deep run through the playoffs, but we still need to see them do a bit more. Now, I do got to respect that, because I do see Geno Smith in that exact tier. I think that he's not the greatest, most elite quarterback. I don't think that he's shitty, but I think that he's right there in the middle. He's just good enough to get the job done, and knowing the weapons that we do have, the weapons that we did bring and signed and drafted, I think that we have more than enough to have a successful offense moving forward, especially bringing Chip Kelly over here from Ohio State. But it's one thing to look good during the offseason and another thing to look good when the actual season does start. But their explanation for Geno Smith was Smith, who was able to keep the Seahawks offense afloat amongst poor pass protection and play calling, but wasn't always consistent enough to overcome everything around him. Still, it's good to have a quarterback that can survive in adverse situations. That's what most situations are going to be in the NFL, and that's exactly right. Especially for the Raiders, we're not going to have everything perfect, but as long as he goes out there and doesn't make any mistakes at all, then I feel like we're in good hands. As long as the defense handles their job, as long as the offensive line handles their job, and the running back does what we know he can do, Geno Smith is en route for a really good season this year. Like I said before, I think he has all the weapons right now to at least go out there and succeed and win a couple of games. If not win games, look competitive and just put up some great numbers. As long as he's not turning the ball over, then that's all we can ask of our quarterback. With that being said, though, I know that Raiders football right now is a little bit slow. There's not a lot of things going on right now. I'm trying to drop as much content as I can now leading into training camp. But I wanted to announce that I'm going to be bringing back live streaming. I haven't done live streams in a while, but I want to do at least a weekly episode of the Samoan Raiders show, kind of like the Pat McAfee show. And then if there's any events that I end up going to, I'm trying to put together an IRL streaming. Like I'm trying to put together the gear that I need to do it, because there's a lot of cool stuff that I get to go and attend to, which would be pretty dope to have the chat and you guys join me along these great events, whether it's at WrestleMania, whether it's going to, training camp, or all these other places. I'm working my way into getting credentials for a lot of things. So with that said, if you guys definitely want to see that, hit the like button. Let me know down in the comments below that you guys do want to see that. Also subscribe to the channel and just continue to show love, because the more love you guys show me, the more I'm able to go do all these things and just bring you guys along for the ride. But with that being said, until the next video, this your boy Samoan Raider, and your boys, yeah.